ADHD, we know it, is a challenge. It's a big struggle for all of us who have ADHD. But the thing that's really frustrating is when people just say, oh, you're just using the ADHD as an excuse. You're just lazy. Really? These people just don't understand the difficulty when it comes to having ADHD. Or you get people who are really motivated or, who are just those motivational speakers that, oh, you could do anything as long as you put your mind to it and you can actually focus as long as you're interested into it. Well, it isn't that simple. And in this video, I really want to discuss about the struggles as far as ADHD and motivation and understanding, is ADHD a deficit or a superpower that some people like to talk about? Hi, I'm Dr. LeGrand, and I have ADHD and dyslexia, and want to share my experiences that I have learned over the years in working with patients, helping people with ADHD, anxiety, and depression. So if you're new on this channel and really want to know more information about this, tips that I like to share, you go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as well as if you like this video, go ahead and give us a like, as well as hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any other future videos that we do on this channel. So diving right in, let's answer the question of why some people think ADHD might be a superpower or might be a deficit. We first got to understand that ADHD has different levels. Just like depression, when I see a patient that comes in and has depression, the very important questions to really ask is if they have suicidal thoughts. Now, some people have depression, they just have a hard time getting out of bed, they're just not motivated, but they don't necessarily always have suicidal thoughts. Then those people who have depression have severe suicidal thoughts and have actually attempted suicide multiple times. Those are different degrees, different levels, and you can't really make a comparison of those two people. Sure, they're both experiencing depression, but they have different levels. And so that's what people need to understand, is that there's different levels. Just because you're able to do it or able to do something doesn't mean the person who has a higher level of difficulty can do it the same way. The same goes for ADHD. I know my experience is different from a lot of my other patients' experiences or what your guys are experiencing. I know you parents out there who have kids with ADHD have different levels of ADHD and different challenges. And so I'm hoping to kind of use this video to be able to kind of help you understand of why people are thinking that ADHD could be a deficit or a superpower. And this actually post came from on Facebook that someone posted that, ADHD should be stopped looking as a deficit, but be looked at it as more as a benefit. Well, a lot of people might think, really a benefit? Having ADHD is a benefit? Are you kidding me? Who wants to have ADHD? Why would you think it as a benefit? Well, I'm going to share my personal experience of my thought process on this. But first, to address this, looking at a deficit between a superpower or benefit, the reason why people might think that way is, for one, yes, a deficit. I know for myself, going through school, it was so hard to focus. I get distracted by everything. And did I want this? No, of course not. I always wish that I could think like other people think, where you weren't distracted all the time, where you could get the good grades and be able to just succeed easily through the classes. I always hoped and prayed, please, I don't want this. Give me so I can actually be smarter or do these challenges and be able to perform better. And then there's the flip side as far as, ADHD could be a superpower. I can understand this point, and I've said it even myself as saying that ADHD can be a superpower, but it depends on the level of ADHD, because some people deal with very severe ADHD can have a hard time, at least at that level, until they can get to a point where they actually are interested in things and have a passion for something. Because with people who have ADHD, for the most part, if they can find something that they're interested in and have passion for, then yes, you could look at that as a superpower, at least in some way, because we could be hyper-focused and actually really engaged and actually motivate ourselves. But that isn't the case for everybody. But I want you to look at how ADHD can be a superpower and look at it differently than what other people have said it as being a superpower. I'm going to first share my personal experience. So I grew up, having a struggle with school. In fact, I remember my mom, she had teachers come to her when I was, in kindergarten or something like that. And they came to her and saying that I need to be put in the special ed program because I had a difficult time learning and I wasn't keeping up with the kids. And so they wanted to push me towards, a special ed program. My mom didn't want to do that. She knew that would actually really destroy me if she put me in the special ed program, and because she knew that I was smart and that this was just a challenge that I had to just get through. So she took me out of school, bless her heart. She homeschooled me, and it took her years to even just learn how to help me learn how to read and write. That was a big challenge. I didn't know how to read and write until I was about 9 or 10. I remember, because I had dyslexia and I would write things backwards and stuff like that and read things backwards, and I just couldn't understand. I would a lot of times pretend that I could read, but when I really deep down just didn't know how to read. And bless her heart for going through that, because it was such a challenge. And then, I even made it through college, and I also made it through medical school, as I've mentioned before, but it was never really easy. Because I always felt like I was at the end of the rope, because I failed several times. I had to retake classes going through college and even through medical school. I had to retake exams and stuff like that. And it was always frustrating to not understand why I had to go through this, of why I had to go through these challenges. But at the same time, as I was going through those experiences, I saw this challenge in a way as a blessing. And here's why. At least for me, when I finally got through passing an exam or passing a class or having to take a class for the second time and actually passing it, my joy was high. I was super happy because I succeeded something that was a challenge before, but didn't give up. Was it easy? No. Sure, I learned things throughout the years. It didn't make it easy, but it did make it easier as I learned different study skills and strategies to be able to perform better in school. But the big thing for me was how much joy I had when I actually finally would pass an exam or pass a class. But the biggest thing at the very tail end, all through medical school, it was a challenge. I remember having to retake boards. And when I finally had that piece of paper, the letter, I really still remember this day, and I opened it, and I actually passed my final boards to become a licensed medical doctor. I guarantee you that precious moment was higher than any of my other classmates because of the struggle of just to get there, that I could appreciate it more. And that's how I see my struggles, the challenges, as a superpower. But here's the reason more why. Not only was it joyous be able to finally have successes through those challenges, and it made those successes more heightened because of the challenge of itself, but the challenge also motivated me, because I had several teachers that told me, no, you should leave the medical field. You're not going to amount to anything as far as, being a doctor. You should leave it. You're not smart enough. I wanted to disprove them. It motivated me to push me, to drive me through these challenges. You think about anybody really that had struggled through school. You could read about Thomas Edison. You can read about Albert Einstein. You could read about a lot of people who struggled through school, who had these challenges, and they became great people. And I know you hear a lot of this. I'm not trying to sit there and try to, motivate you, because I know you parents who have kids with ADHD, this is really a struggle, and you want to believe this as much as possible. You just can't give up. You just really can't. You have to understand that it is a process, and everybody's at different levels, and there's different levels of successes. Not everybody needs to be a doctor. Not everybody needs to be a lawyer, but finding those successes of what your kid, or for yourself, if you're an adult that has ADHD, of what's going to be your success, and using that ADHD as a challenge for yourself, because no one else can really understand your actual challenges that you experience except for yourself, and how you can push yourself to make it to the next level. I hope you guys can take this video and understand that ADHD is, yes, it's a deficit, but we need to understand at the same time, if we're going to get to those successes, how I had to look at it as something, as a challenge, but also something that could be a superpower because of the challenge. Something that can push me and drive me to make everybody understand that I could still succeed. The challenge will always be there, but without the challenge, I don't know if I would have made it this far, because sometimes when things are too easy, we do become lazy. We're just like, I don't need to study for that. Oh, I don't need to do that. It makes us lazy. So for those people who want to say people with ADHD are lazy, It's quite the opposite, in my opinion. They don't understand the struggle that it takes us just for studying one thing or trying to focus on one thing. It takes a lot of effort, but if you could just pass one class, pass one exam, that is a huge success. And you're certainly not lazy because it took you a lot of effort to get through that point. And no matter where you get to, those are all successes. And you have to understand that is one little step at a time and not trying to oversight it because somebody made it this far. Why can't you make it that far? You have to look at yourself as an individual and those small successes along with the challenges you have. If you have any further questions, reach out to me. Leave that in the comment section below. And if you're new here, subscribe to this channel to get more of these types of videos and check out these videos right here. And remember, ADHD is what? ADHD is your superpower. I'm Dr. Legrand, signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye.